offense?
Defense.
What creates defense?
Offense.
No, the goal in the back of the net.
It's been a half decade of dominance in the conference from this golf team, Thomas. You have them in the C tier. What are we doing?
I'm
4 out of the last
expecting a
5 years they've won the
championship at this
championship.
Talk about the present stuff. And, well, actually, I'm going to talk about the past right now.
At least if you're gonna pick a trap game, pick the right ones.
I don't know if anyone knew. She just got a Barbie. And to me, if you get a Barbie, that means you've made it in life. So, I mean, Alona Mar.
Are you ready for some debate? Because Bobcat Breakdown starts right now.
Hello everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Meg Buckley, and alongside me is Emma Morris and Luke Krout. How excited are we for tonight, guys?
I'm so excited for tonight. I'm really excited to just get things going here on desk.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. First time debating. I'm really excited. Let's get it going.
Let's see. Stepping on to Lender Court, the women's basketball head coach position is up for grabs with Trisha Fabry's retirement. The Bobcats ended their season going 27-7 with a near perfect conference record of 19-1. With the new availability, what do the Bobcats need more? An experienced coach with a career to back it up, or a moral support booster for the team? Emma, you start us off.
I think really what they need is a player's coach. I mean, with the NIL really coming in and destroying women's basketball, top players aren't going to stay. If they know they're good enough to move on from a mid-major school, they're going to. So it's going to be critical for a coach to come in and kind of develop the glue guys for this team. I think you've seen it with different mid-major schools where coaches, they're not really building teams for success. They're building teams for years, for a year of success, not 3 years when the first years go to juniors. I mean, you've seen it with Tampacora. His approach is recruiting more mid-major, looking for more mid-major and JUCO guys than guys coming straight out of high school. I really think it's more important for the women's basketball team who's losing somebody like Trish to come in and bring some people in who's going to want to stay and build a program.
Well, I'm going to take it the other direction. I mean, they just lost Trish Fabry, an obviously experienced coach, and I really think that they need to bring that experience back. I mean, if you look at the staff right now, there's really no recruiting power. I mean, you've got William Sullivan, the assistant coach right now. He's been there for 3 seasons. He's got a little bit of history. He's got some background. He's a little bit experienced. But 3 seasons really isn't enough to kind of realize what her kind of coaching style is. It's enough, but you're not going to get that full experience. Along with that, you're losing Anna Foley and Ella Ryan. That's 2 top players on this team that are headed straight to the portal. If Fabry didn't leave, they're leaving to go to likely also experienced coaches. They're leaving because the experienced coach is gone. They need the experience back, and they need to be able to have recruiting pull. If you don't have recruiting pull, what are you going to do? I mean, you're not going to be able to have players. I mean, you're going to have to basically rebuild every year. Players who they're going to come in for 1 year, they're going to improve, and then they're going to go off to another school where they can take their talents to a bigger school, a better school.
I agree with you, but I think building in the MAC division that isn't as strong as it could be.
I think you guys have both made, using similar points for your things, but skating over to the other side of the bank, the men's ice hockey team was knocked out of the NCAA regionals after their 5-0 loss against the number 2 seed North Dakota. The Bobcats ended their season with the top 3-point scorers being first years in the nation's leader Ethan Wintenbach, Antonin Farreau, and Marcus Vidicek, all scoring 35 points or more. With this information, was this the greatest first-year class in men's ice hockey history? Luke, you take this one.
Well, Emma, I gotta say personally, I really don't think there's much debate here. I mean, It's got to be this year. Ethan Wittenbach. That's the first thing I'm gonna say. I think that rings a bell to everybody. He's got the first-year points record. He just got it this season, and with the empty netter at the end of the Providence game, he tied the all-time single-season point record at Quinnipiac. There's not much else you can say there. I mean, the other first years, there's 3 first years in the top 3. In the history of this program, there has never been 3 first years in the top 3 point scoring categories. I mean, there's really no debate there, right?
Yeah, I have to agree with you 100%. I have looked far and wide to see if there's a better class than them. There's really not. Like you said, almost all the stat category leaders are first years. You have guys out there like Wittenbach, Verreau, Vidicek, putting numbers up each night. They're having a goal, they're having an assist, they're having a 3-point game. The only place I think you could argue if they're the best first-year class is on the defensive end. That's where you can see guys not as strong as they could be. Tivy and Schultz are gonna be good, but they really have to go in the offseason, train super hard, and develop more to be comparative with Blaise and Gronwald out there.
Yeah, I really think in my research, really the only other team, the other team that I could see might be argued is the 2012-2013 team with Sam Annis being the ECAC Rookie of the Year and Connor Clifton, who's defenseman on the Penguins now. But the top scorers on those teams are still upperclassmen.
Yeah.
The first years contributed, but they didn't carry like they did this year.
Yeah, and like going back and looking, the standout guys, they weren't standout in their first season. They were standout their sophomore, their junior year. It's taken them time to develop. These guys have come in and they're ready to go. They're the ones fighting for this team to make it far.
Even though you guys are debating, it's good to see some agreement, and we've been seeing some great analysis here at the desk, but we need to take a quick media timeout. Don't go anywhere, though, as when we come back, Emma and Luke will be discussing the keys to the offseason for the men's ice hockey team. Stay with us.
Hamden to Hollywood.
We are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
Buckle up! Nobody is more prepared for an emergency than Dogman.
With all your kung fu skills and your K9 fortitude or whatnot.
But for the rest of us, a good plan goes a long way.
Come on, let's go!
So, whether it's an unexpected disaster or the world's most evilest cat bent on destroying all do-gooders,
Destroy all do-gooders!
you can help your family be ready for anything.
No time to waste. Will you get out of here?
Get started today at ready.gov/kids.
Anybody want a package?
Don't worry, sir, baby.
I got you.
And do you want to breathe?
He got into some sloppy situations.
Uncle Aaron's locked up for touching all those kiddos.
Here comes the boom.
Quinnipiac Tonight is Q30's premier sketch comedy show. Watch it live every other Thursday at 9:30 in the Piazza or tune in online at q30tv.com/watch.
Clap if you care.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. Like we've discussed, the NCAA regionals were this past weekend for the Quinnipiac Bobcats. They started their Sioux Falls trip with a 5-2 win against the Providence Friars, while the postseason run was cut short by the North Dakota Fighting Hawks in the 5-0 shutout loss. Now that the season has officially concluded, Emma and Luke will be telling us their top 3 off-season keys for the team, going from least to most important. Emma, start us off with your first key.
My first key can be a controversial one. I'm going to go with the power play.
Okay.
The second half of the season, their power play just really wasn't there, but beginning of the half of the season was pretty good. Their power play conversion percentage this year was a 21.3%, last season 29.3%. They went 0 for 19 on the power play during their playoff run, both the ECAC and the NCAA tournament. Clarkson actually scored more on their power play than Quinnipiac did. They really didn't have a strong anchor on the power play this year, but I don't think it's their biggest worry right now. They're scoring good off 5v5. Yes, you want your power play to keep going and keep improving and growing, but I think there's other things they really need to work towards this season next season that is more important.
Sure. I'm gonna go. I totally agree with you there, but I'm gonna go in the realm of that they need to find defensemen to step up offensively. Right now, you're losing Letty and Gilson on the back end. They're graduating, so they're not coming back, and they really need to find that offensive production. Right now, Gronwald is arguably the best defenseman in the ECAC, and he's one of the best in the NCAA, and they really need to find offense that's going to be outside of him. And men's hockey, they don't rely on they tend to not rely on those transfers. They've only had one transfer this year. It's been Will Gilson. And instead they rely on that first year development. And if Schultz and Tivy can take that next step and try and fill those spots of Letty and Gilson, that would be great. And if Swart can play better than he did in the second half and play up like he did then and play throughout the whole season like that, that'll be even better. And they do have a couple of defenseman commits that are going to fill those missing spots in the roster, but they really do need to step up on that defense and play offense.
I'm going to have to agree with Emma. I think special teams are super important, especially in hockey, but I think even more so. And it seems like defense as a whole is going to be due for some attention. And yeah, I think goaltending should also personally be a bigger focus, and maybe it deserves to be in the number 2 slot. Luke, what's the second key for you?
So my second key, I'm gonna take it that the first years need to step up leadership-wise. Cherneskier and Cipollone are leaving. Those are 2 big leaders in the clubhouse for them, and you're not gonna get another freshman class this talented or deep. I mean, we talked about it before, how good this freshman class is. There's never been a better freshman class at this school. Yeah. And this group needs to evolve from those offensive producers into leaders on the ice. They need to take the next step, not just as players, but as leaders. Wittenbach proved that he can be one of the best players in the country. I mean, he's up for a Hobie Baker. He's not counted out yet. And it's really about maturity and consistency for him. He needs to be able to channel that high-level play into his leadership and start controlling the game. I also think that Marcus Vidicek can become that leader. Rand Pecknold did say after the CTI's championship that he could be the next captain. Will he? Likely not, but he will be a leader.
I'm going to have to go a different route than you. I think their physicality play needs to come into it. I think they need to be more physical on and off the puck. I mean, we've seen it countless times where they just get bullied off the puck. They're the lightest team in the country, being 179 pounds. That's light for a team. That's pretty light for hockey. You want them to really be like strong and like a physical presence out there. There's really none for them. I mean, physicality isn't Pecknold's system, but they could really benefit from having a powered forward. I mean, we've seen it with teams like EC and BU, where Quinnipiac, where they focus on the finesse and puck skills. But then you look in the ECAC play and see like Clarkson, Cornell, where they just get bullied off the puck. They're not laying the hard hits in the corners. They're not going for pucks in the corners. You don't really see many hits in neutral zone play. I mean, we see it every once in a while. Marcellus may have one here and there, but if they really want to be competitive with teams like North Dakota, you have to be able to play a physical game all 3 periods.
Now, while I'd love for that to happen, I don't think that's possible. Rand Pecknold does not lead a physical team. He never has. There's a reason that they're so good in the NCAA tournament and they're not good in the ECAC. It doesn't matter that as much as it'd be great for them to get more physical, they're playing all right, but they're just not going to. It's not Rand's system, and it's never been Rand's system.
But that's why I think that's something they should work towards. Because even though it isn't Rand's system, it's a lot of the other teams in the ECAC.
But do you think he's gonna change?
Depending on how this year went in the ECAC playoffs, yeah, I think he might. They got bullied out there by Clarkson. You got to do something to change that.
Well, some enforcement could definitely work in the Bobcats' favor. Both of your answers could prove to have similar results. Now it's time for the most crucial element as the team clocks out for the season. What you got, Emma?
I think it's a pretty easy one.
Yeah.
It's goaltending.
There you go.
Their goaltending hasn't been the best this year. They really need to name a starting goaltender. I think that's their biggest thing to worry about in this offseason, is naming a starting goaltender. Neither one of them had the season they should have. Silverstein had a save percentage of a .912, and Marinov had a .898. Both of them had an over .900 last season. Having .898 as a junior goaltender in one of the best teams in the country, a little embarrassing, not gonna lie. I think that's something that both of them need to work towards. They have a goalie coming in who's going to shake up the system for both goalies.
So I'm gonna take the exact same route as you here. I really think that goaltending is gonna be the best. I mean, I really wouldn't be surprised if after this season Marinov and Scopa are gonna transfer out. It sucks that they are, but it's not the end of the world because we've got Christian Kirch coming in. He's currently in the OHL right now, and him and Silverstein are going to be 1A, 1B next year. And I really think if Christian Kirch can take over, they're going to get that consistent starter that you were talking about. Right now in the OHL, he's played for 41 games this season, and he's got a 900 save percentage in that semi-professional league there. And he's currently leading his team through the playoffs and he's leading a top-ranked team in the West Division in the OHL. I mean, there's really not much you can ask for. The only thing more that they really are going to need to do is develop him and make sure he doesn't transfer out.
Yeah.
That would be the biggest problem with this team. But I really don't think that they're going to have a problem once he comes in, as long as he can play as good as obviously he's been playing the OHL.
Yeah, I think the only thing that scares me with having a first year come in and kind of take a starting job is how comfortable is he going to be playing in college hockey? Because we've seen it multiple times where somebody will come in from the OHL and not feel comfortable out there. It's a different style of play. It's different. They have to make sure he's comfortable.
For sure.
Playing the style of hockey.
Yeah, the first thing that they really need to do is once he gets here for camp, they
throw him right out there.
Throw him right out on the ice and get him comfortable.
Yeah, 100%. Well, at least you guys can somewhat agree, especially on goaltending. It'll also be interesting to see the fruits of their labor next season. But to bring it back to the present, we need to take another quick break. When we return, we'll be talking about women's lacrosse and what position groups need to step it up, and whether baseball's recent sweep against St. Peter's was a fluke or a new beginning. All that and more coming right up.
The go-to Quinnipiac news source for students by students. We've got the latest on campus news, student life, and stories all around the country. Get to know your local community with features on Hamden businesses and politics. Everything you need to know, all in 30 minutes. Wednesdays at 9:30, reporting for the Quinnipiac community.
I'm Melissa Sheehan.
I'm Sophia DeBona.
I'm Maury Smith.
I'm Christina Tsimenis.
I'm Riley Farrell.
I'm Andrew Allison.
I'm Miranda Patorti.
We are the Q30 Newscast.
Left for Vidicek. Vidicek walking in. Shot. Save made. Rebound.
Did you miss this goal last night? No worries. We got you covered.
Antonin Varel gets the puck to Ethan Winbach in front of the net. He puts it past Alvin Breya.
Every team, every game.
She shoots it blocker side into the net.
All the news, highlights, and more.
First year connection. Ty Turner to Keith McKnight.
This is Sports Pause. Monday nights at 9:30, only on Q30 Television.
Thanks for sticking with us on Bobcat Breakdown. If you're just tuning in, I'm Meg Buckley, and joining me at the desk are Emma Morris and Luke Krout. But before we jump back into the debate, QBSN is here to highlight some of the blooming spring sports on campus. Check it out.
Saturday, unfortunately for us, but luckily for us, a great game here as we have 10 on the clock. Here comes Quinnipiac and a goal!
Irizarry, the senior shortstop in the box for the Bobcats, as he hits an absolute bomb. And that one is gone. Irizarry, a 3-run home run over the right field wall. It is 3-0 Bobcats.
Now Marsala. Been kind of quiet today, Marsala, but had a lot of time with the ball, but more of a distributor. As here comes Quinnipiac, number 13, Krout.
I really think that's been his role this year, especially with Nate Watson being so good this year. He's really been the disher.
Absolutely. What a rip there from number 20, Mione. Don't think anyone saw that coming.
No, not at all. He really took that shot out of nowhere, beat Metzger, and it's tied up 7-7.
John Delaney's been here for 12 years and is the program's 10th career head coach, and Smith hits one far into right field. Does that one have enough? And it does! Christian Smith, a leadoff home run in the top of the 7th inning as Christian Smith sends that one out of here.
Speaking of spring sports, the women's lacrosse team has had an interesting start to MAC play after 2 close losses to Niagara and Canisius, losing 14-13 in overtime and 15-14 respectively. However, their most recent game is a conference win of 17-9 against Manhattan. But this begs the question, which position group needs to step it up for the Bobcats? Emma, back to you.
I think it's a pretty easy answer. It's the attack. They're clogging up the 8. They're not really finding cutters. They've been struggling with this the entire season. They have a good defense, and to keep them into game, and it keeps them in games. Like, Shannon can back up the net pretty well. Their defense is working well, but their attack has to be able to move the ball and take shots quickly. I mean, you look at the game against Manhattan last Saturday, there was a lot of missed chances on attack because they were cutting at the same time. They were just standing in the 8-meter. They also would pull out of breakaway situations. There really wasn't many things that they could do really to get that attack going. They looked not put together out there.
For me, I really think the midfield really needs to step up. They obviously play both sides of the ball. They're playing defense and offense. And you talked about how they're having trouble moving the ball around on offense. The midfield also needs to step up in that part. And a big problem that they've been having is their draws and their face-offs have not been great lately. They haven't been able to capitalize on them and take them down in the offensive zone. And they're also allowing breakthroughs into the midfield zone and coming back on defense. And the attack is really just not great because of the midfield. They're not putting them in positions to succeed.
I have to disagree with you on that one, because you look at your midfielders, like both Anna and Julia Givens. They're both midfielders. They're the ones scoring goals out there. They're the ones putting on masterclasses each game. It's Ella Delmont, Peyton Choma. Yes, they're scoring goals, but Delmont should be leading that offense out there, along with Bendowski. They're the ones who need to be running that offense. And if they're not telling cutters when to cut, they're all just kind of circling at the same point of the 8, you're not going to get anything. Also, on full field transitions, where you get to your offensive,
and
they're
I hate
pulling
to cut you
out.
off, Emma, and I know you have some great points, but we need to switch over to the diamond now, as the baseball team has improved their conference record to 5-4 after a recent weekend sweep away at St. Peter's, bringing the Bobcats' current win streak to 4. Is the result of these wins because of the new pitching lineup John Delaney has implemented, or is it because St. Peter's is currently ranked dead last in the MAC? Luke, start it off for us.
Emma, I'm going to ask you a question.
Hit me, Luke.
How many teams are there in Division I baseball?
At least over 300.
308 to be exact. Do you know where St. Peter's ranks on the RPI?
You know, I have a feeling I know where you're going, but hit me with it.
Dead last. They are, statistically, on the RPI, the worst team in college baseball. They're 0-6 at home, and they're 2-22 overall. Their only wins are against bottom 20 teams in the NCAA, one of which is NJIT, a bottom 10 team. And it took them 10 innings to beat them. 10 innings to beat a bottom 10 team in the NCAA. I'm going to give Delaney credit. He switched it at the perfect time because you're playing such a bad team. Why wouldn't you switch the rotation? They can get comfortable quick. But it's not going to be the rotation switch that's going to fix it. Any pitcher could go out on the mound and beat St. Peter's.
I have to disagree with you on this one. I'm going to take the new pitching lineup. I think the switch came at the perfect time.
Sure.
It's really where it needed to happen, but I think this is the perfect time to test it out. I mean, you have this bad team. Go out there, have fun, see where it fixes. Go into next weekend, do that same pitching rotation, see where it leads you.
And love seeing the lively debate about spring sports, especially now that the weather is heating up. And even though we have to take our final break of the night, Bobcat Breakdown is staying hot as we give our final roars when we get back. Stay tuned.
Elmer loves to giggle. Elmer's mommy told him that laughing can help when you have a big feeling, like when you feel happy. Make sure to celebrate when you're happy and laugh it out.
Everyone has a ritual. That small thing we do to keep us focused.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game?
To drown out the self-doubt and support your mental health.
Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Find the resources you need to keep your mental health a priority.
Love your mind.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's time to give our final roars. I'll start us off. Losing sucks. There's no other way to put it. Nobody likes to lose, and nobody likes to go home. I saw it firsthand in Wisconsin when the women's ice hockey team went home after a loss to the Badgers, and even in Lake Placid when the Yale Bulldogs lost in the ECAC championship final. Those kinds of moments stick with you because you feel everything that is built up all season hit you all at once. What matters most about this isn't the loss. It's about how you can come back after and respond to it. How do you rebuild? Or, as men's ice hockey coach Rand Pecknell would say, how do you get a team to buy back in? A loss might not tell the whole story of what a team really is. The loss isn't showing us the early mornings, long and hard practices, workouts, and all the kinds of work that get put in to take them to that next level. And that's what made these winter teams so strong for Quinnipiac. Between men's and women's ice hockey and the women's basketball teams, they put themselves in positions to make these deep playoff runs and be able to play in big moments like that. That's what matters. The reality is, though, almost every season ends the same way for most teams. A loss. The quiet locker room. A group realizing it's over. Only one team gets that perfect storybook ending. Everyone else is stuck thinking about what they could have been. But that doesn't take away from what was built up. It doesn't erase the season or the memories. And even if they didn't end the way that they wanted it, it doesn't mean that they came up short. It means that they were close enough to matter.
Being an RA is something I always knew I wanted to do in college. I thought it'd be a cool experience that I'd get my own room and a way have an impact on my residents' lives. But what I didn't know is they would make an even larger impact on my life. Coming into the school year, I knew I'd have a fun group being with the Sports LLC. I've watched them from day one of the school year till now grow, and as much as they can be loud, they've shaped this year for me. One of my residents is in Q30 making a name for themselves, and a majority of the other ones are on the field or court making a name for themselves just in a different way. There's a newfound pride in me when I get to watch my residents do the things they love. Their face is lighting up when I tell them I'll be at one of their games. This group has also taught me to have more patience than I thought I'd ever need, because trying to get a group of 40 girls all to be quiet at the same time sounds easier said than done. All the late nights and early phone calls about being locked out of their room quiets when you're sitting in the press box of the lacrosse field and hear them shout, "Hey, it's RA Emma," and start waving to you when they should be warming up for their game. It's the late nights sitting outside of my room talking about everything and anything, asking me about how my day was and making sure that I was okay. And even though they may ask me some questions I never thought I'd be asked, I wouldn't change anything about it. They can be a lot, but one day I hope they look back and see the impacts we both made on each other's lives.
I'm sure that for everyone who is interested in sports, one of the first things that they were told was that sports are for everyone. And they are. It's the best part about sports. It brings people together, and there is no doubt about the special unity that is created when people are bonding over their favorite team or hating on another one. Yet, the different groups of people that make up the overarching label of everyone deserve to see themselves in the sports they love. That is why the various themed nights at sports games are so crucial. Whether it's a Pride night for the NHL, Black History Month game for the PWHL, or the multiple promotional games that the D1 teams here at Quinnipiac participate in, the impact they have is immeasurable. Every single person can and should be able to see themselves represented in an athlete, team, or acknowledged in some way. All the examples give people a platform to feel seen in the sports they cheer for, and they deserve to be able to do so. If we want to get kids and keep kids interested in sports, it's vital that we maintain the notion that they deserve to be there, no matter who they are. So yeah, a theme night could come off as a little pushy promotional project at a glance, but if you look a bit deeper, that recognition could make the difference for how others see themselves in the world. And unfortunately, we're out of time here for Bobcat Breakdown, but stay up to date with Quinnipiac Athletics by following us on Instagram and X at Q30 Sports, and check out our website at q30tv.com. Thank you to the producers and everyone working hard behind the scenes to make this show possible. For Emma Morris and Luke Krout, I'm Meg Buckley. Sleep well, Bobcats.